Power and significance of Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31 is one of the most well-known chapters in the Book of Proverbs, often cited for its wisdom concerning both godly leadership and virtuous womanhood. The chapter is divided into two main sections, Proverbs 31 verses 1 to 9. The words of King Lemuel. This section of Proverbs 31 contains the wise counsel that King Lemuel received from his mother. It focuses on principles of righteous leadership, self-discipline, and justice. Verse breakdown and meaning. 1. Introduction, verse 1. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. The chapter begins by acknowledging that these are not just Lemuel's thoughts, but the teachings of his mother. The word prophecy, or oracle, suggests that this wisdom is divinely inspired. It highlights the importance of maternal influence in shaping a godly leader. 2. Warning against immorality, verse 2 to 3. What, my son? And what, the son of my womb? And what, the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. The repetition of my son shows deep concern and urgency. The reference to son of my vows may imply that Lemuel was dedicated to God, possibly in a similar way to Samuel. The warning against giving strength to women is not about avoiding relationships, but about avoiding indulgence in immoral or excessive relationships that lead to ruin, as seen in the downfall of Solomon and Samson. 3. Warning against drunkenness, verses 4 to 7. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink, and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Rulers should avoid drunkenness because it clouds judgment and leads to injustice. Leaders must remain clear-minded to uphold righteousness. The contrast with the poor, who drink to forget their misery, shows that rulers have a higher responsibility to remain sober and wise. 4. Call to defend justice, verses 8 to 9. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. A righteous ruler must speak for those who cannot defend themselves. The dumb refers to the voiceless, oppressed, or powerless. Justice should be impartial and especially focused on the vulnerable. This is a strong reminder that power must be used to protect and serve others, not for personal gain. Significance of this passage. Righteous leadership. This passage sets a high standard for godly rulers, avoiding personal indulgences and focusing on justice. Parental influence. It highlights the power of a mother's wisdom in shaping a great leader. Call to justice. It emphasizes defending the poor, the voiceless, and those facing destruction. Moral discipline. It warns against the dangers of pleasure-seeking and addiction, which can corrupt even the most powerful people. This passage remains relevant today for leaders in any capacity, whether in government, business, ministry, or family. Would you like a deeper look into any specific verse? Proverbs 31 verses 10 to 31. The virtuous woman, Eshet Chayil. This passage is a poetic description of the ideal woman, often referred to as the virtuous woman or Eshet Chayil in Hebrew, meaning woman of valor. It is an acrostic poem, with each verse beginning with a successive letter of the Hebrew alphabet, symbolizing completeness and divine order. Verse breakdown and meaning. 1. The value of a virtuous woman, verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Virtuous, Chayil, means strength, capability, and excellence. A godly woman's worth is beyond material wealth. 2. Her relationship with her husband, verses 11 to 12. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She is trustworthy and brings her husband peace and prosperity. Their relationship is built on mutual respect and faithfulness. 3. Her diligence and industry, verses 13 to 19. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night. and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She is hardworking, resourceful, and provides for her family. She is an entrepreneur, managing land and business with wisdom. She takes care of both her household and her employees. 4. Her generosity and kindness. Verse 20. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is compassionate and gives generously to the less fortunate. 5. Her preparation and strength. Verses 21 to 25. She is not afraid of the snow for her household. For all her household are clothed with scarlet. She mocketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She mocketh fine linen, and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She prepares her family for the future and ensures their well-being. Her wisdom and industry elevate her husband's status in society. She is clothed in dignity, both literally and metaphorically. 6. Her wisdom and kindness. Verse 26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She speaks with wisdom, showing grace and understanding. 7. Her management of the household. Verses 27 to 29. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. She is diligent in overseeing her household. Her family recognizes and praises her efforts. 8. The source of her strength. Verses 30 to 31. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Outward beauty fades, but reverence for God is eternal. Her work and character bring her lasting honor. Significance of this passage. A model of godly womanhood, the Eshet Chayil is a picture of faithfulness, strength, and wisdom, applicable to women in all walks of life. Empowerment of women. Far from being passive, she is a businesswoman, provider, and leader, challenging stereotypes about biblical womanhood. An example for all believers. The traits of diligence, generosity, and godly fear apply to both men and women. A reflection of Christ and the church. Some interpret this passage as a metaphor for the bride of Christ, the church, embodying faithfulness and service to God. Conclusion. Proverbs 31 is not just about marriage or womanhood, but about godly character. It serves as an encouragement for women to live with strength, dignity, and faith, while also inspiring men to honor and appreciate such women. Proverbs 31 as a model of godly wisdom. Proverbs 31 presents a powerful model of godly wisdom through both righteous leadership, verses 1 to 9, and virtuous living, verses 10 to 31. It highlights wisdom in action, whether in governance, family life, or personal character. 1. Wisdom in leadership, Proverbs 31 verses 1 to 9. In the first section, King Lemuel's mother teaches him how to be a just and wise ruler. Her advice demonstrates wisdom in 3 key ways. A. Self-control and moral integrity. V. 3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. Wisdom involves self-discipline and avoiding destructive temptations. Leaders, and all believers, are called to moral purity and focus. B. Sobriety and clear judgment. V. 4 to 7. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink. Wisdom requires a clear mind to make righteous decisions. Impaired judgment leads to injustice and corruption. C. Advocacy for the voiceless. V. 8 to 9. Open thy mouth for the dumb. Judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. A wise leader seeks justice for the oppressed. This reflects God's heart for the weak and vulnerable. Summary. Wisdom in leadership is marked by integrity, discipline, and justice. These principles apply not only to kings but to anyone in a position of influence: parents, teachers, pastors, and business leaders. 2. Wisdom in personal and family life. Proverbs 31 verses 10 to 31. The second section describes the Eshet Chayil, virtuous woman, a living example of wisdom applied in daily life. A. Trustworthiness and diligence. V. 11 to 15. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. A wise person is hardworking and dependable. She is a provider and planner, ensuring her family's well-being. B. Entrepreneurial and financial wisdom. V. 16 to 18, 24. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She makes smart investments and manages resources wisely. Her wisdom benefits not just herself but her family and community. C. Compassion and generosity. V. 20. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. She reacheth forth her hands to the needy. Wisdom is not just about personal success, but about blessing others. A godly person uses their resources to care for those in need. D. Strength and fearlessness. V. 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. True wisdom leads to inner strength and confidence in the future. A wise person is not ruled by fear, but by faith. E. Wisdom in speech and teaching. V. 26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. Wise people use their words to uplift, teach, and guide others. True wisdom is always accompanied by kindness. F. Godly fear as the foundation of wisdom. V. 30. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. The root of all wisdom is reverence for God. Proverbs 9 verse 10. External achievements fade, but godliness lasts forever. Conclusion: the true model of godly wisdom. Proverbs 31 provides a holistic view of wisdom. For leaders, justice, discipline, and advocacy. For families, hard work, trust, and love. For individuals, integrity, generosity, and godly fear. Key takeaways: wisdom is active. It is seen in daily actions, not just words. Wisdom is practical. It applies to leadership, work, relationships, and faith. Wisdom starts with God. A life built on God's wisdom is strong, prosperous, and honorable. The empowerment of women in Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31 verses 10 to 31 is often seen as a celebration of biblical womanhood, but it is also a powerful passage on the empowerment of women. The Eshet Chayil, or woman of valor, is not a passive figure. She is strong, wise, hardworking, and influential. This passage highlights how women are called to live with strength, dignity, and purpose, challenging cultural stereotypes about women's roles in ancient and modern societies. 1. A woman of strength and capability. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Proverbs 31 verse 10. The Hebrew word chayil means strength, valor, and capability. It is often used to describe warriors, e.g., Judges 6 verse 12. The Proverbs 31 woman is not weak or submissive. She is strong, confident, and able to handle responsibilities. She is a woman of action, not just words. 2. A woman with economic and business skills. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. Proverbs 31 verse 16. She makes financial decisions, buying land and planting vineyards, showing wisdom in investments. She is a businesswoman who produces and sells goods. V. 24. She is financially independent and contributes to her household success. This contradicts the false notion that biblical women were confined to domestic work alone. 3. A woman who provides for others. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. Proverbs 31 verse 15. She manages her home effectively and generously, ensuring that her family and servants are provided for. Unlike the stereotype of women as passive homemakers, she is a leader in her home and business. 4. A woman of wisdom and influence. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. Proverbs 31 verse 26. She is intelligent and articulate, using her words to instruct and uplift others. Women in biblical times were often not given formal education, yet this woman is wise and well-respected. She is not silent. She teaches, counsels, and leads with kindness. 5. A woman who supports and elevates her husband. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. Proverbs 31 verse 23. Her success and wisdom contribute to her husband's status in the community. This shows that a strong woman strengthens her partner, rather than diminishing him. 6. A woman who fears the Lord. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Proverbs 31 verse 30. True empowerment comes not from external beauty or status, but from a strong relationship with God. She is not defined by society's expectations, but by her faith and character. The modern relevance of Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31 is often misused to promote a narrow view of biblical womanhood, but a closer look shows that it. Heavy checkmark encourages women to be strong, capable, and independent. Heavy checkmark celebrates female leadership in business, home, and community. Heavy checkmark recognizes a woman's wisdom, intelligence, and influence. Heavy checkmark teaches that true value comes from character and faith, not societal standards. The Proverbs 31 woman is not a weak or oppressed figure, but a powerful model of godly wisdom, leadership, and strength. Proverbs 31 verses 1-9. A. Call to righteous leadership. The first 9 verses of Proverbs 31 are a direct call to righteous leadership, given as advice from a mother to her son, King Lemuel. This passage teaches that true leadership is not about power or self-indulgence, but about wisdom, justice, and service to others. 1. Leadership requires self-control, verses 2-3. What, my son? And what, the son of my womb? And what, the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. The repetition of my son shows urgency. This is critical wisdom. A leader must guard against moral and physical indulgence that can weaken their authority. History, both biblical and secular, shows how lust, greed, and reckless living have led to the downfall of kings, e.g., Solomon and Samson. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A righteous leader exercises self-discipline and avoids distractions that lead to destruction. 2. Leadership requires a clear mind, verses 4-7. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Leaders must remain clear-headed to make wise and just decisions. Alcohol, or anything that clouds judgment, can lead to neglecting responsibility and corrupting justice. While drinking is not outright condemned in the Bible, leaders are held to a higher standard of discipline. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A righteous leader must stay mentally sharp and focused to uphold justice. 3. Leadership requires defending the voiceless, verses 8-9. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. The primary duty of a leader is justice, especially for the weak and oppressed. The dumb, mute, represents those who cannot speak for themselves, the poor, marginalized, and voiceless. Leadership is not about personal gain, but about serving others and upholding righteousness. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A righteous leader uses their influence to fight for justice and defend the weak. The modern application of righteous leadership. The principles in Proverbs 31 verses 1-9 apply to all forms of leadership, not just kings. Heavy checkmark government leaders must govern with integrity and prioritize justice. Heavy checkmark pastors and church leaders must lead with moral purity and uphold biblical truth. Heavy checkmark business leaders must be ethical, fair, and compassionate toward employees. Heavy checkmark parents and mentors must teach self-discipline and model righteousness. A true leader reflects God's character. Self-controlled, avoids destructive temptations. Sober-minded, makes wise, clear decisions, defends the weak, champions justice and righteousness. Conclusion: the call to righteous leadership. Proverbs 31 verses 1-9 is a powerful reminder that true leadership is not about status, but about service. A godly leader must exercise self-control, maintain wisdom, and advocate for the vulnerable. Proverbs 31, a blueprint for Christian character. Proverbs 31 serves as a blueprint for Christian character, offering principles that apply to both men and women in leadership, family, business, and personal life. This passage provides a holistic view of godly character, emphasizing wisdom, diligence, integrity, compassion, and faith. 1. A character rooted in God. Proverbs 31 verse 30. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Godly character starts with reverence for God, fear of the Lord. External success and beauty fade, but a heart devoted to God lasts. Christian character is built on a deep relationship with God, not worldly validation. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A life centered on God is the foundation of Christian character. 2. A character of integrity and trustworthiness. Proverbs 31 verses 10-12. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her. Virtuous, Chayil, means strength, moral excellence, and valor. It applies to both men and women. A person of godly character is trustworthy and faithful in relationships, work, and commitments. Integrity means doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A person of Christian character is reliable and honorable. 3. A character of hard work and diligence. Proverbs 31 verses 13-19, 27. She worketh willingly with her hands. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. Christian character includes a strong work ethic and willingness to serve. Laziness is the opposite of godly diligence. Proverbs 10 verse 4. Hard work is not just about making money. It is about stewardship and honoring God. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A Christian should be diligent, responsible, and faithful in their work. 4. A character of compassion and generosity. Proverbs 31 verse 20. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. A godly person is generous and cares for others, reflecting God's heart for the poor. Psalm 82 verse 3. Christian character is not self-centered, but looks for ways to serve and uplift others. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A person of godly character is generous and serves others selflessly. 5. A character of strength and courage. Proverbs 31 verse 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. Strength is not just physical. It is spiritual, emotional, and moral strength. Christian character means facing challenges with faith and courage, trusting God for the future. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A Christian should be resilient, courageous, and full of faith. 6. A character of wisdom and discernment. Proverbs 31 verse 26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. True wisdom comes from knowing and applying God's word. James 1 verse 5. A person with Christian character speaks truth with love and kindness. Ephesians 4 verse 15. Wisdom is seen in actions, decisions, and words. 7. A character that impacts others. Proverbs 31 verses 28-29. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. A life of Christian character leaves a legacy. Family, friends, and community are impacted. A person of godly character inspires and encourages others to follow Christ. White heavy checkmark key lesson. A godly life influences and blesses others. Conclusion. The Proverbs 31 blueprint for Christian character. Heavy checkmark fear of the Lord, foundation of true character. V30. Heavy checkmark integrity and trustworthiness, reliable and faithful. V10-12. Heavy checkmark diligence and hard work. Honors God through effort. V13-19, 27. Heavy checkmark compassion and generosity. Serves and uplifts others. V20. Heavy checkmark strength and courage. Faces life with confidence in God, v. 25. Heavy checkmark wisdom and discernment. Speaks and acts with righteousness, v. 26. Heavy checkmark impact on others. Leaves a lasting legacy, v. 28 to 29. This passage is not just for women. It is a model for all believers. Living out Proverbs 31 character means embodying faith, wisdom, strength, and love in everyday life.